Okay, so some of the next things we're going to look at are the analytics, both of courses and of specific quizzes. So when you're on your home page, you're here, over here on the right, you're going to see your course analytics. Your course analytics are going to show when things are done, what grade distributions are. I mean, I've only got one person in here right now, but that's why some of this is going to look a little bit funky. But you can see, so these are the grades on specific assignments as we go through. Up here, you can see when submissions were made and if they were made on time. And then this is the activity per day. So there's only one person in here. You can see there's 465 page views. Um, so this, I mean, this there's a lot of activity on this day. You can imagine what it's like when you've got 100 or 150 students in a course. Down here, you'll see a distribution of per people, and you can see what they've actually been doing. So, what do they have that's missing? What do they have that's late? What's their current score? This is kind of an overall view of what's going on in the class. You can change this to a table view. Changing to a table view is the same thing. It's just not quite as user friendly in terms of looking. It's aesthetics, it's appeal. It's got the same information. So that's going to be for your course. Now we're going to go and look at some analytics for an assignment, or for, I mean, you can do it for assignments. Your quizzes is going to be where you probably use analytics the most. So once you click on a quiz, over here you're going to go click on Quiz Statistics. Quiz Statistics gives you kind of a thumbprint of what the quiz is looking like from the student perspective. So I've only got one student, and we curved the quiz to 11, so our high score and our low score are the same. That's how long it took me to take it. Over here, this is your discrimination index, is where you want to, this is a good number. This number is going to do a lot of analytics for you, and all you have to do is look at the number. So if we click here, we'll see this. The discrimination index tells you, is this a good question at discriminating between students who do well on a quiz and students who don't do well on a quiz? So as an example, let's say a student got all of them right except one, so one wrong. That question would have a lower discrimination index than the other questions because they're doing well, but they got that one question wrong. So if you have a low discrimination index, that's a situation where maybe it's a misleading question. Maybe you're leading them to an incorrect answer. Maybe there's something worded incorrectly. What you want is the highest discrimination indexes possible. Now, on the flip side, it also takes the opposite into account. So if a student got them all wrong except one right, the one that they got right is going to have a low discrimination index because it's not a good question to determine if somebody knows, or it's not a good question to determine if they know their content versus if they don't. So, like I said, the higher discrimination indexes, the better you're going to be. This kind of describes it. Looks like there's a little more info here if you'd like to look at that. Now, if you remember from this quiz, not all of the questions did we pull. So we pulled a couple of these questions directly off the quiz. Everybody's going to get this question and this question, if I remember right. We'll go double check that. But then down here, we pulled random questions. So you can look at how they're going there. But we pulled random questions. So what it does is it does a good job at pulling information when that random question is used. It's not going to use data on this. It's not going to populate data on this question unless this question was populated in a student's response. So you might have 1 out of 1. You might have attempts 1 out of 30 here. And on this question, you might have 1 out of 28. And on this question, you might have 1 out of 10. Because the number of times each question is pulled is going to be a unique number. Now, it's not likely you're going to have 30, 28, and 10. You'll probably have 30, 28, and 32 or something like that. So that gives you kind of a snapshot of how the quiz is going, what students are doing, how they're doing, how your questions are responding. And really, the nice part about this is you get all this information and you haven't done any additional work. You wrote the question, now it's doing the kind of advanced data analysis for you. So that's looking at data on quizzes. We can look up here at individual students. All this is going to do is download student responses, and then this is going to download essentially what you're seeing here, but it's just going to download it as a spreadsheet or numbers, depending on what you're using. That pretty much does it for analysis and what's available.